Hello, good morning. How are you all today? I am happy that it's Sunday, and it's a longer weekend than normal because tomorrow is Memorial Day. So, it's a free day off work. So I'll probably be doing another long stream tomorrow morning, but we'll sort of like play it by ear. I don't think I have any plans yet. Right, got a jacket. Because, yeah, I'm down here in a basement and it is a bit chilly. So I'll probably put it on for right now and then take it off a little bit and get warmed up. So today, the plan is to continue working on the platforming game with the level editor built in. So we don't have the level editor part yet, but we do have the platforming part sort of starting to come up. So if we run our app as we have it right now, this is what we get. We start the game and we have a camera that's panning to the right. And here's our player. Our player is falling straight down, but because the camera is moving, the camera is not like tied to the player at this moment. So that's why the player appears to be falling down into the left. Now, I think the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna stop the camera moving because now we're gonna work on something for the player to fall onto. So let's go find our loader. I guess it would be the camera in the loaders. It'd be, I think it's in the level. Level under loaders. No, this is select level. Oh, I think it's called play. Play and loaders. Here's our camera. We have a velocity of 1. So if I rerun this, oh, I think our player is just off to the top right. With level.start. So yeah, our start point is like 2000 to the right, and we're at a 1920 by 1080. So if I want to make this like maybe a little bit more realistic, let's give a start point of maybe like 150x, and the 00 for the y is fine for right now. So if I start you, there's our player start, and it starts falling down. So the goal right now is to put something beneath the player. I'm thinking that for our levels, in order to like prevent ourselves from having to draw like a floor tile every single tile, or to even like click and drag across, we should probably have a boolean of whether or not we have a floor. So in our level, we can just say a floor, and this is going to be a boolean. Let's just say that we have a floor, which means that when we load this level, we want to, okay, so we load the player, we load the camera, also want to load the floor. If there is a floor, load the floor. And that's going to be basically one long, thing across the entire level. So function, and these are just being called down here. So this is function load floor. All right, so for this, first we want to detect, do we have a floor to load? So if not level dot floor, then we're just going to return early. So if there's no floor, return early. We're done here. That way we can continue on at this point. Now, what do we want to do here? We want to create an entity in here that is a floor. No, is a platform. So we need to create a platform. So we need a component names to add into here, because like we're gonna have a set position, which is gonna be like the middle of it, and then extends up, down, left, and right from there. So, well, I guess like the middle, we can create the middle. So let middle point new. All right, so if we take a look at our level again, we have the start, we have the width, the height, and the height. Start is where the player starts, so that's not really helpful. But width and height is what we care about. So I want to go all the way to the bottom and minus like the height of whatever the floor is going to be. So I suppose now we need to discuss what are like standard unit heights. What are standard unit widths? Or like standard units, maybe. If I come back to here, I want to go into the Kenny assets that I have. Where are you? Here, assets, 2D. There's some. Let's see. Can I make this bigger? Not really. I think there's a so don't want isometric. Okay, platform assets. So here's some PNGs. Don't care about the background. No, enemies, items. No, don't care about items. Tiles. I guess this works. So here we have like tiles. And so if you figure out what the standard size this is, we could just take this on as our standard size. If I was making my own, I might choose something arbitrary like 150 by 150. Figure out like what I want the player to look like on the screen and then measure that at like the optimal resolution that I think the game should be played at. Which of course is different than like what people might play it as. So these look fairly easy to do. Now we have, yeah, there's these squares. I think we can just use these squares. This one doesn't go all the way down if we take a look at that. Or does it? Interesting that I see a little box here on my screen that like is empty underneath it. I don't see that here. I think I'm gonna go with square because I think the math will be a little bit easier. What's the difference? Oh, this one has sort of like a rounded edge on the left. Oh, that's cool. Let's try just using these sizes. So what are you? Dimensions 70 by 70. Okay, so if I just choose to use that and I make like the standard size 70 by 70, perhaps I can just store this into here, like a unit, like a unit width, is 70, F32. Height is an F32. Now, I have no idea if this is actually a good idea for like real games. I think this is the first. I've tried unit widths and heights before, and I've just never figured out the right place to put them. So unit width is 70. So nice square. Which means we can access this now. So now they want to get the middle point of this. If I know that there's 70, I have the unit width in here. For the X of this, we're gonna go for the entire level width. So that's gonna be the level dot width divided by 2. But then I also want to minus, is that true? Is this really the middle? I think this would be the exact middle. Because even if I want like minus half of that, that would still be in the left-hand side of it. And I want this all across the bottom of the level. So, okay, we're gonna start with the middle of the level on the X. And then for the Y, I wanna go all the way down to the bottom. Level dot height. And then I wanna subtract half of a unit height. Level dot unit height divided by 2. So that gives us our middle point. So we can now just start insert into world. Camera set. I guess we will need to set the, well, we probably won't because we're gonna have like the standard unit height. No, we're gonna want to set the height for these and the width. So set height, and this is gonna be level dot unit height. Set position, and this is gonna be the middle point. And its width, it's going to be level dot width. We're okay so far, but I also need to tell it that it's a platform. So I don't necessarily, like, I guess it could be like a Boolean is the data that it is, but it's really just like sort of a marker component. So we need component names. We're going to do a platform. We're going to head back to the main library, and we need to register that we're going to be storing a platform in. And then this is now going to be, okay, insert into world. We need to update you. So this is going to be, I guess it is a platform. And it's going to be a Boolean of just like, hey, it's a platform. We don't really care about it. It's just going to be for like searching for the things and then drawing them out. So considering this, we can take mute self. I don't actually need to take a Boolean in. We could just say, you know what, platform. If I just run this, it's a platform. And then in insert, we're going to insert the component if it's a platform, if it is. then in play here, we're gonna run that. So platform, and then we're gonna insert. All right, and then we're gonna tell this to load the floor. Now this won't do anything right away. I don't believe it will, because I don't think it's gonna try to like draw anything weird at this point, but let's go and make sure that we don't get like weird dots. Yeah, there's nothing being drawn down at the bottom here. No dots, no nothing else. So that's perfect. The next thing that I want to do is actually just draw that out. So we're gonna have to have part of our draw. So we have our system manager. We have like the draw text things. We're also gonna want to have a draw. So we have these draw entities here. I'm gonna want to also draw. Does that make sense? Draw entities. I probably want to break this out. Have this not just be like draw all the entities, but rather like draw the platforms, draw the player, draw the other thing. But what we can do to sort of like make this work, because in here, this is creating our mesh builder here. And then it's figuring out, it has to do 2 queries. Yeah, this is a little bit much. Because we're first getting the camera. Then we're doing a push transform. And then we're drawing everything else. Yeah, and we do another query here. Which is, that's too much. So I'm thinking we create our mesh outside of here. And we're gonna pass this in to each of the things that need it. Now, draw text isn't gonna need that at all. It's probably gonna want a like a text fragment or something else. No, because each of these could then run to say like, hey, draw like, mark that the text is gonna be drawing. But in draw entities, we probably want to change this to something like draw camera. So let's do one change at a time. We're gonna take in our mesh builder. And I think this can be just a mutable reference to a mesh builder. And then we don't need you at all. We're just going to add on to you. So this finishes. Come back to here. I'm gonna pass in mutable reference to the mesh builder. And then down here is where we do our draw. Oh, we have to create the mesh first. Okay, so that's great, but we need to make sure we're not doing this graphics draw also inside of here, which I believe we are. So back into run. Wrong one. Back into this one. Run. So we want to do apply transformations. This creates the mesh, and then we draw it. Okay, so that's not going to be done here. And then a pop transformation. So these all need to be done out here. So, because that's just at the end, apply transformation, draw, and then we're good to go. Okay, so apply transformations, we context. Create the mesh here. We probably need to do this as an if-let. If-let a mesh. Then you happen without the question mark. Then we can do our graphics draw. And then we're going to pop the transformations. Okay, so if I don't do anything different, does it still work? Yes, everything is still working there. And if I were to go back into play and tell the camera that our velocity is like 0.1, we should be moving to the right very slowly. Yeah, there it is. And so I see it shifting over to the right. So everything is still working as expected. So then the next thing that I want to do is, now that we have these draw separately, I can now create another system for drawing the platforms. Let's go ahead and do that. Is there a... No, okay. So it's just run. Chantilly, hello, good morning. How's your Sunday going today? Good so far? That's great to hear. Okay, so we're gonna start off with this this run function. So the big thing we need to do now is query for all of the platforms that we're going to draw. So let's see. We're gonna start with query. What do we need to get out of here? We need the position so we know where to draw this thing. So position. We need its width and its height too. And I don't know if I need any. Oh, I guess also we need to know that it is the platforms. All right, so I have our component names, position as ref, then the widths. Then the heights. And then the platform. And now we have all this information that we care about. So we can start looping through our positions, widths, heights, and heights. We don't really care about the platforms. That's just to limit our query to just actual platforms. We can do position first. I don't know if it matters. All right, it gives us a U size and a position. So now we need to shadow position into a wrapped position. So I'll just create this as a wrapped position. It is a reference to a data wrapper with a point inside. I somehow got rid of that. Okay, that's not cool. And this is going to be our widths of index. Patatas del Papa, hello. Good morning. I am using air. Yes. So I'm using the air type result here. So you can see that right here. So far, I've been enjoying air a lot. Then why not use wrap air? For which thing? Are you talking about like these data wrappers? This is slightly different. This is because what I'm getting out of here is an RC ref cell with a generic type for what I'm, or I guess not a generic type, but a enum of like what the data is. And I just created that data wrapper in order to like make it easier so I don't have to constantly write RC ref cell in over and over and over again. Result wrap error context here. Where would I do that? Also, don't need you. Oh, I need to pull in point 2. All right, so I got all this stuff out. On all those question marks, like the example from air. Oh, so like all these question marks, why don't I do result wrap error instead of the question marks? Let's take a look at your example. Oh, to like wrap around those errors, to like give it. Well, that's if I want to give it like a name here. But I already have like a name coming in from like above it, so I don't feel a need to like give it a different name here. And that's usually why not. I don't know if that's like best or not best practice. Maybe it would be best practice. All right, so we got our position, our width, and our height. At this point, we can create a mesh. Oh, you know what? We also need to pull in that mesh builder. Mesh builder is a mutable reference to a mesh builder. Yeah, I know. Like some things are just like, so I don't know what the right answer is. It's very interesting. Okay, so we have these. Then I want to, for right now, we know we're going to be creating them as just a bunch of blocks all across. It's not going to be just one long thing, because they're going to be in our like standard width and height, which is what these are. But I guess we know because we're creating a whole bunch of them. Is that true? Actually, I think we may not be. I think I may be just creating one of them, which might be a problem. Because I think I just put a single block in the middle of the middle of the level, which I think is actually incorrect. If we come down to our level, our width is 10,000. To have that as 5,000, it's going to be wider than we can see. Let's make this 1920, so it's the same height as 1080, so we can actually see what these things are. Yeah, air handling is still evolving, definitely. I did hear that they created an air handling user group or research group or something like that. So hopefully we'll get more advice from the working group relatively soon. So for each of these, I need to, right now I'm just going to create a rectangle. So let's create the rect. Oh, they're working on a book also? Oh, that'd be great. We're gonna create a rectangle. Okay, so we need to create the start of this. It's like, where is it gonna start? Well, I have my position, but that's in the center. So we're gonna do the wrapped position. We're gonna borrow and get the X value out of that, and then subtract half of the wrapped width. So that's a dereferenced wrapped width dot borrow divided by 2. So that's going to be our X, and then our Y is going to be halfway up. So that's going to be our wrapped position. Borrow that, get the Y, and subtract a dereferenced wrapped height, borrow divided by 2. What is Rust without books? That it does sometimes feel that way, doesn't it? And then we want the actual widths and heights. So it's gonna be our wrapped width, borrow that, and then a wrapped height, borrow that. And I dereferenced both of those, so that way we get the actual values. And so that gives us our rect. So now I can create the rectangle. I don't know what. Oh, we probably need to give it like the, well, I don't need to give it a color because we're going to be using this as like just a PNG that has all the color information in it already. You have your code full of RC cell T's, but it makes my life so much easier. I totally get what you're saying because I'm doing the same thing here, but with RC ref cells. That's the only difference is ref cells. And that's why I created this type, this sort of wrapper type, just so I don't have to type RC ref cell all the time. Okay, so we want to, I believe, add this as a rectangle to our mesh builder. So we're going to take a mesh builder, do a rectangle. Okay, draw mode. So import draw mode, fill that. Bounds is going to be this rect, and then the color. I don't know. Let's just make this green. Wait, we are using green a lot. Let's make it yellow. That might be a little bit more easier to see, and differentiate. So it's gonna be a color, new, no red, full green, full blue, full alpha. Okay, so that gives us that. We should be happy here. So back here, we want to draw entities. We're also going to do a self dot draw. Did I not store this? I didn't store it. Drop platforms. Okay, now I can call this. So draw platforms, run you, pass in the world, the context, and this mesh builder. And there we go. Everything else should remain the same because we're just going to draw it. We're updating this one giant mesh to then just draw out the screen all at once. So if I run this, let's see what happens. There's our platform. Oh, and it is moving slightly to the left because our camera is shifting to the right. That's also why that's happening. It's not actually moving for real. Which means I can actually come back and turn off the camera because it is a bit confusing. So I guess that's not yellow. Oh, it's red and blue is yellow, right? It was teal is green and blue. Teal. Okay. Shows like I need to look at a color wheel like every single time that I try to create a color. Okay, next up. I want to now create them all across the bottom. If I wanted to create them all across the bottom, that means in my play, where we're loading the floor for this, we need to make sure we're loading like, okay, we're loading the floor. We kind of need to do this many, many times. We need to do many inserts, not just one insert, many, many inserts. So we need to calculate how many inserts we need. And I believe that's just going to be the width of the level divided by the unit width. So this is going to be like the floor count, I guess. It's going to be our level dot width divided by level dot unit width. And then we need to convert this entire thing into something that's not an F32. So let's just do like a U32. Should be fine. And then we're gonna have to do the calculate the middle point and insert to the world at this, like in a loop. So for I am gonna care what this variable is because I have to multiply it in order to like shift over to the right. So what is it? It's like it's a multiplier. I don't know what to call it. In 0 dot dot floor count. Then you all go into here. Now our X position is gonna have to now be not the full center of the level like we did, but instead we're gonna have to do this in the center. Okay, so we have the unit width. Is it just gonna be unit width times the count? And then that's where we're gonna place this. So we can think about this for a second. We're gonna start with 0. So 0 times 70 is gonna be 0, which is gonna be our starting point. That's actually incorrect. We want to start at the halfway, so we're gonna take that and then add half of the unit width. So level dot unit width divided by 2. So I think this will work. So now we're gonna create a whole bunch of these. And there we go. We got a floor all the way, almost all the way to the right-hand side. It's not exactly what I was going for. You know what I want to do. Let's bring in Rand. Let's head back into that draw, the draw platform. When we're creating this color, I want to just create a random color here really quickly. So this isn't, let's see. For each of these red, we're going to do a random. Now the reason why I want to do this is I want to see like the differences, like where one begins and one ends potentially, and having them be different colors is going to help with that. I mean, that works. That actually looks right. It's perhaps not exactly what I was going for. So however, I do realize why now it doesn't reach to the very end. Now that I've turned off the mode that just causes headaches. The reason why we're having this space to the right is because I'm taking our entire width and dividing by the width of each of these standard units. So the standard unit is not the same as this. So I probably want to like at least go +1. And how would I want to do that? If I want to create like one last one, what we can do is do like an equals here. And make sure that we're always going like a little bit past the floor. And there we go. Now this goes all the way past. Oh, that's weird. Oh, okay. So I'm actually seeing that even though I'm in full screen mode, and you can't see this, but on my other monitor, it's now extended the game into that, which is not what we wanted. So, okay, the clever way of doing it is out. I think what I need to do is, at the very end here, is determine how much leftover space there is and create a rectangle, like create an entity or create something just for that. I mean, either that or we're gonna have to make sure that our I get, oh, you know what maybe we should do is just in level, make sure that our width is compatible with this unit width here. Open up a nice calculator. So if I do 1920 divided by 70, that gives us this like 27.42. So if I wanted to go, we can go like maybe slightly above. I'm worried I'm gonna run into the same problem that I did before, where it's just gonna like extend the screen and have it like go off the screen. So I think what I may need to do is just calculate the delta. And then make sure only to draw the things that are on screen that we can draw. Or change the type of full screen that we have. Maybe that's also a problem that we're having. Let's come back into play. I believe in main. Is it in here? No, it's not that one, it's this one. Oh, full screen type. Okay, so we have desktop, and I think we can try true. Let's see what true works like. Okay, not as good. So it's full screen, but that's not what I wanted. I mean, it's going all the way across here, so that's cool. What choices do I have here? We have desktop, true, and windowed. Let's try windowed. I mean, so I can move this around. It's not full screen either. That's so strange. Like I would have expected that if I'm setting the dimensions here, even if I do have desktop mode on. Oh, windowed mode is actually just, it's a window. Okay, that's what that means. That's so strange that like, okay, I guess this is like Windows being sort of like weird. I suppose we could also maximize false. Maybe that would help. Let's head back into main. So if we do true. Oh, maximize is already true. Okay, so hold on. Oh, we can give it a max width and a max height. Maybe that will help. So we can do a max dimensions. So 1920 and 80. So this would be back to windowed. No, back to desktop. No, it's still sort of like bleeding over into my other screen, which I wish I could show you properly, but it's like, I don't know how to like capture that screen too. Which is really weird. That's not what I wanted at all. And true isn't setting like what I want. So I guess I'm gonna need to figure out what the resolution of the no, because we're setting the resolutions here. I'm gonna need to figure out what the level width is, and then get the difference and create one final one in there. I think that's what we're gonna have to do. So not equal to that. So once we've reached the end, we have a floor count. So this is going to be the number of units that we can fit into there. We also need a remainder. I think a remainder. So here, let's not convert this into a U32 right away. Now we remember from our calculator. I closed the calculator. So 1920 divided by 70 is this 27.42. So I want to be able to get that the same. So if I take that sort of like remainder equals, it's going to be our level dot width divided by floor count. I want to debug the remainder. Nope. Okay. Our remainder is 70. That is wrong. How many? Because I did 1920 divided by 70, which is the height. Oh, I did divide by 70. So that's what we're doing right here to figure out how many, like how wide each of these should be. And then if I take this number, so copy you, and I want to take 1920 divided by that. Yeah, okay, that gives me exactly 70. That can fit in between them. I want that remainder, the last little piece. So would that be take the floor count and multiply by the unit width? So take this times 70. No, okay, is it supposed to be exactly even then? No, it can't be. Because like this 27.4 is not even a number. And that's what we got for the number of these. I'm kind of curious where we are after all of this. So what I'm gonna do is let mute like our pixel position. So let's go with like the right hand, like the final right hand spot, so we can get like the difference between the two. So like last end, so last for end, I guess X. I'm gonna set this to be 0 to begin with, because we're gonna do the first one here, and so I want to add on to this the width of these ones. Does that make sense? Adding on the width of each of these. I don't see how this is gonna not just be exactly the same. We're starting with this, and it's the full width. So, that's for end X plus equals to the level dot unit width. You're an F32. Oh, and you need to be 0.0 at the right end. Debug you. You're 1890. Okay, 1890. So what's that? 10, 20, 30. So that's like a 30 pixel difference. Minus 1890. Yeah, it's 30. Yeah, around 30 pixels difference. How do I just calculate this? Is the number of units floor counts? So if I take the unit height, so we know that each unit width is 70. So if I take 70 and I multiply by the count that we got here, can we get exactly 1920 again? Isn't that what our problem was? 1920 divided by 70, that gives us this. Multiply by 70 gives us 1920 again. Why is this different? Because it's not inclusive. It's 0 through this. It's 1 minus this. So it's 26. So wait a second. 1920 divided by 70 minus 1 times 70. Is this 1850? Okay, that's not exactly. That's not exactly what it's going for. But I think the idea here is I would have a floor start essentially now here. So that final middle point equals point new. Our x in this case would be well, this isn't. I don't know how to draw this out. Oh no, because we're gonna set the width. We're gonna set the width properly. So our middle point is now gonna be this delta of the full level width. So level dot width divide minus okay, so take that. That's the beginning of this. And it's really, this is divided by 2. No, this entire thing is divided by 2. And we're going to take this entire thing and subtract it from level.width minus that. That would be our x, and then our y is going to be the exact same. So it's going to be this level.height minus level.unit height divided by 2. And then we're going to just do one final insert into world. So set the height. Position is just going to be this final middle point. Set the width. Okay, so this is incorrect. the width actually has to be this last floor and X. And then a platform, okay. So does this work? And we're not, yeah, we're just doing our normal for loop through. That's still going off the edge. What's going on here? Was this happening before and I wasn't even noticing it? Is my draw taking the width into account? I think it is. Wait, that one we want to keep. This one we don't. Oh, wait a second. Oh, so it's hard for me to know because I got like a bunch of black window stuff over on a right-hand monitor. But this window is sort of like clipping off some things over here right now, as it is right this second. So it's extending over what, like even now. Well, it's not good. So I'm not doing anything wrong. The problem we're having is that my full screen mode is not working correctly. So perhaps we should just not do full screen mode. And I couldn't even seem to get the full screen mode to work. Okay, so here, I'm gonna go back. Don't need this file in the middle point. I'm just gonna do this as an equals again. Get rid of you. We're good to go here. Don't need you. So all of these are good. But what I don't understand is if I do like true, do I have to change the engine? Yeah, because like you notice this is not going to like the appropriate. I think it's because I have like a 4K display here, and it's not playing nice with that. Is there? Because I know there's like this Windows setup. Can I? Which one do I change the engine on? None of these. Oh, I can add a backend. Then then we can say one of these. So GL, GLES. I think we want just GL, which I think is default. Okay, so open default is OpenGL. With 3.2 is the default here. Okay, so we can set the version. Okay, so we can set. So we want to set the version first. So new major, new minor, or like whatever we're using. Now, how do I tell? OpenGL version. Yeah, like what? How do I tell what version I have? This is really bright. Oh, I wonder if I can see it in. So I have an NVIDIA. Okay, I bet I can go into like an NVIDIA thing. You're not gonna tell me any versions, are you? Okay, system information. I mean, you give me the DirectX runtime version, but that's not helpful. I want the OpenGL version. So that's not. Let's see, components maybe. No, that's like just literally like the files that it's loading for those components. I don't know how to find this. Let's try. What's the most recent OpenGL version? OpenGL. Four point 6. I see that. We can try 4.6, see what happens. So okay, so version 4.6.gl. So that should set that. Now if I run you again, it doesn't seem like that at all. How about we go back to desktop? Nope, it's still like going over by just a little bit. 19 by 20 by 1080, 1920 by 1080 is 16 by 9, right? So I guess I've got some weird. Let's just make this windowed, and we won't worry about it right now. We'll just leave it as windowed. I can move it around. If I move it over here, look at that, it becomes smaller as I change from left to right because I have. I wonder if it's because I have different resolutions for the two monitors. Oh, that could be it too. Like some weird thing. Like, can I tell the backend that I have a 4K? I don't know which is. Oh, there's. Oh, this is like backend. Oh, this is not backend stuff. Yeah, this is literally all the choices that I have. That's not. It's not great. And I don't think Windows setup or window mode will give me anything either. So that's Windows setup, and then you should be window mode. Yeah, okay. This isn't super helpful. I wonder also if it's because I'm like got that zoom thing going on. I am just gonna stay on windowed mode for right now and not gonna worry about this too much. And it's just gonna be something we have to live with, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we're not going for like a fully sellable game anyways, so I'll probably have to switch over to a different game engine if I wanted to do something like that. All right, so when we come down to the bottom here, so everything is good now. I want to replace these with the actual graphic, which means we need to load that image into the world as a resource. And then that draw system can pull out that image and add it in. So that's going to be in play. This is where we're loading everything into the world. No. Well, I mean, in a way, yes, but we need to load it in as a resource for this image first. And right now, all the resources are being loaded in here. I wonder if gonna want like a resource handler or a resource manager to like just do the resources that we're loading in. Like here we have all this stuff. I want to, let's add another function here for right now. Function load images. I don't know if I need mutable self. Oh no, I do need mutable self for the world. So I want to load this image, let's say. Let's come back and find this. Where are you? It is... You not have the same heights? You're 70 by 70. Oh, you're all okay. You're the same. What about you? Oh, okay. They're all the same heights. Okay, that's good to know. So you we need our resources. I'm gonna add you in here. And let's go ahead and add in. This is the like grass. Grass mid. And this is from the Penny Game Assets 1. Back to the main library. So we need to load up this image and then add the images in here. Now, do I want to like actually add the images itself to the world? Can I even do that? I don't remember if I've I don't think I allow images to be added in, do I? We can go take a look really quickly. So in BPECS, resources, I think it's resource. We're not bringing in an image at all. So that probably answers that question. Now, whether or not this image should be a resource, I don't actually know. Maybe a like a name of the resource or like an ID would be best. And then we can have like an image manager. That could work potentially. So let's create a image manager. In the main library, we'll mod this. So here's what I'm thinking for this. We're gonna store the images, and that's gonna be a hash map. With some kind of ID for the image. So we can just do like a usize for any kind of like IDs. And then for the image itself it's going to be an image like that. Okay, so we have the images that we're going to store in. We need to store like the last ID used, or maybe like the next ID. It's going to be usize. I think this is going to be it. So I'm going to register an image, and then it's going to load them all and then provide an ID back for it. Actually, you know what? Let's not do that. We can have an enum in here. So pub enum at the same time. So an image name. So in this case, we're looking at like a platform so grass mid. So grass mid. This is going to be an image name in here. So we can use this to grab it back out. So I don't need like any kind of ID system or anything else. We're just going to store these. When we create the new one, we're going to load up all the images right at the beginning, which I want to say we need the context for. And we're going to return self with this. Okay, so first off, we need grass middle. So middle is going to be equal. I guess this is going to be the image. It's equal to image new. We do pass it the context. Then we pass the path, which is going to be slash grassmid.png. This gives us a result. Okay, so we grab that. It's this image generic that we get back. Okay. I wonder if this is going to work. Then we're going to create the images. So that images equals hash map new. We're going to images dot insert. So our key is going to be image name, grass middle, and a value is going to be the grass middle image. Then we're going to turn an OK with a self with images. Okay, so we need equal and partial compare, I believe, for this enum. So derive, sure, debug, equal, and partial equal. Oh, okay, also hash. All right, it's not upset. So now in the main library, we can, under setup, we have context here, so we can just run this right away. But yeah, we could just run this right away. So let the image manager is going to be an image manager. So image manager, image manager, new, pass it in that context, and store this away. So if I run this, all those images should be loaded up right at the beginning of the game. So we should get an error if it can't find the image. It works just fine. Okay, perfect. Now, if I want to grab this out, I need, for those image names, let's head back into image manager. Let's get strum in here too. Strum macros. I think we're gonna want both toString as refster. And let's just add them both in here too. The reason for this is because I want to, for the platform, put in which image name that we're going to be using for this, this entity. Okay, so let's head back into main library, and we're going to register a new component, so which means we need a component name for this too. And this is going to be the essentially image name. Okay, so that gives us, okay, so register image name. Then in play, when we load up here, Dota 2 Attitude, hello! How are you doing today? We're gonna load the floor and we're gonna set, oh, well, insert in the world, we have to add in this. So this is gonna be image name, freelancing away. Awesome, that's great. And you're gonna be a string. So image name. Your boss did his review last month. He said you're still great. Well, that's awesome. And since and since you're the boss, you knew that was coming. Well, that is good. It's great to have like that great attitude with it too. So I'm super happy for you. Let's see. So set image name self. And we're gonna take the image name, which is gonna be a string. We could stir it, and then we have to clone it, so it doesn't really matter. We're just gonna take ownership of it here. And return back self dot name equals some image name self. And down here, do the same thing. Okay, with component, we have our component names, image name as ref, and then you're going to be the image name. So then we're going to head back into play, and now we can insert this in here. So for the floor, all of our floor right now, so set image name is going to be image name, grass middle, toString. Okay, so that's great. Now we need to grab out this the image name when we do that query for the draw. So now we're going to do a draw platform. So let's add this in right here. Heights, and this is going to be the image names. Is after heights. Component names. Image name as ref. Okay. Now we have our image names. We grab this out here too. So this is string equals image names index past you. Okay, so how do I add an image? That's gonna be our next thing. It's like, how do we wrap an image on like a mesh that we're building? So let's go into Mesh Builder, see what we can see. Texture takes an image to apply to the mesh. So I can add a texture. Which is just an image. Okay. That image has to be cloned, doesn't it? Because this looks like it takes ownership of the image. Oh, cloning is fairly cheap because it's art. Okay. What's my opinion on refactor sprints? So I don't like refactor sprints, but I do like refactoring. So the reason why I don't like refactor sprints is because that means it usually is like the negotiation between the business and the team. Like, hey, we really need to refactor things to like make things better. And let's just like not provide any value to the customer whatsoever in order to like refactor things. It's the business and the team usually building the software. The client so how I've seen this play out, like usually in my companies, are the client requests a feature, the business says, sure, we can do that, then goes back to the team and says, okay, I want you to build this feature, and the team says, no, I'm sorry, we can't. we can't, because we need to refactor a bunch of stuff in order to do that. Let's take a refactor sprint in order to like to build that. I guess like in my mind, refactoring is one of those things that should just happen ongoing. Like it's just the cost of doing business. It just is constantly happening. So now is this refactoring due to like technical debt, or is this refactoring due to what would it be? Refactoring due to like a change request, like a request from a client. Yeah, 4 sprints in a row with features. Like, I guess I would feel that if you're trying to be agile, the idea of agile is like that red green green. Oh, I forgot what it's called. But it's the idea that you like red green refactor. Yeah, that's what it is. I do like that, even if I don't do TDD always. I still like the idea of the red green refactor, which is refactor is just part of the ticket. It's part of the feature. So it's going to be a mess, and we need to break at that point, get a QA review, and then continue. The biggest thing is if you wait too long to refactor, then it's going to be a nightmare. Some will review the code and stamp it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Those ones are the worst. I hate that kind of thing, because that's not, well, I have strong opinions about this. It's not QA at that point, I don't think. Well, there's alternatives that feel worse to a lot of developers I know, but actually results in a better product. But I have to admit, being a freelancer is a very different situation. So at that point, I would almost imagine it's not really a QA. It's more of like it's a gate for delivery of the product. It's not assuring, I guess, it's not ensuring that there is quality, or it's not ensuring that like there's quality built in. It's just more of like refusing acceptance if their quality isn't high enough. It's a subtle difference. I remember once, like a mentor once explained to me, you can't QA quality into the product. You can only QA to determine whether or not you shouldn't accept the level of quality that it has right now. And that's because quality can only be added during the building part, right? Like once you're done with the building and it goes to the next phase, it's too late. Like the code is there now. It's a big refactor and it's actually not a refactor. Refactor means you're not changing things. Someone gave it 8 hours of review. Yeah, like that was interspersed over a month. Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad when that happens. But as you mentioned, being a freelancer changes everything, because you're not part of like a bigger team. You're embedded usually, or yeah. Well, yes, the end result, well, the code gets a lot better, but it also results in a lot of what I call waste, which is rework that should have been done right the first time. So if it was caught, like if there's a way to catch those earlier and tighten the feedback loop, that would be even better. But I don't know if there's a way to do that as a freelancer. That the only way I know how to do that is like in an actual internal team. Yeah, exactly. And that's where I could provide like a really, really awesome method of doing something if it's an embedded team. I don't know how to give any kind of advice that works in a freelance mode. because like they're just it doesn't work, which is why like I don't necessarily like hiring freelance, because like the dynamic is not right unless it's going to be embedded in and become part of the team and part of the process that I use in my teams. But yeah. You're in charge of the entire project usually. Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you're still outside of the company. You don't have any political capital to like be able to and to do some of the things that like I like to do in companies. That's my thought. Do you have to sort of follow their procedures even if it slows down? Talk to the receptionist? That seems unprofessional. Exactly. Like, aren't we developers just supposed to like put on blinders and just like code and not do anything else for like, I don't know, 3 days in a row? All right. So we can get an image. Okay, they have a type image that equals this thing. So that's why it works. In my image manager, we're going to want a function to grab an image, and it's just going to need to be a clone of this image, which is going to be fine. So pub get image, pub function, get image. In this case, it can just be a reference to self because we're going to be cloning the image. Faraz, hello. You're new to coding. Should you learn Rust, C++ for game dev first? Is it so? You're new to coding. So like, have you what? New can be. I want to make sure I understand the new part. What? How new are you? Like, have you never coded at all? Do you like not even know what code is? Or have you like done some coding, some tutorials, or something else? Yeah, like Dota's asking, new first year, or like new you just decided to like to open up the text editor. You've never coded before. Okay, so I would suggest Unity. There's a lot you can do in Unity without coding at all. So you can get some really good feedback on that. Now, there's two things: Unity, and the other one is Game Maker. Game Maker is the other one where you have like very little experience and you can still get something done. Either Unity or Game Maker. The other reason for that is because there's like a billion tutorials out there aimed at your level. So you can find tutorials for like how to make a game without coding using Unity or Game Maker. Now, will you be able to do some like, AAA level stuff? No, not at all. But it should get you far enough that you can make the decision of whether or not you want to learn programming. Or if you want to do this professionally, to hire a programmer to be your programmer. Dota, you'd almost go the competitive programming route. I don't know if I would do that right away. Like if you haven't programmed at all and you want to do gaming type stuff, just do gaming type stuff. Just like, I feel that it becomes really important to be able to get something that you want like out there, so that way you get like a positive feeling back. Because like as you program, if you're just like coding for like, I don't know, 6 weeks straight and you still haven't actually seen your game run properly, that's gonna be really, 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 really negative. What's the right word for it? It's gonna make you feel bad. Yeah, if you want to learn game dev, learn game dev. And I think like if it could be your gateway into programming other things. So like if you decide you love the game, like the dev part of game dev, there's a world out here that you can use, like get into, and it's pretty fun in my opinion. but there's also game design that you can get into. Programming is a gateway to even more programming. It is. But yeah, you might decide that you would rather just focus on game design, or like audio, or any of the other little things. Like there's so many aspects to game development. To the infinity. Yes, exactly. Do I think that Rust is easy for newbies? No, absolutely not. Rust is, yeah, Rust is it's a programming language that some people feel that can be taught to beginners, but I don't really feel that there's any good resources out there at all. Like I've even tried to create a couple tutorials for like absolute beginners, and it's really hard for me to be able to figure out how to teach that. I think that having some, like just one other language experience helps with Rust like a tremendous amount. Unsuitable. You never try to learn two things at the same time. In your opinion, it is better to learn programming first and then a game engine like Unity. I totally understand what you're coming from, unsuitable bit. I'm thinking for the Unity thing that I'm thinking of is you can get a decent amount without programming at all, just to get something like going like on the screen, and then like get that to like draw you in and addict you, and then use that addiction to learn programming. That's my idea. But Game Maker is like a great game engine for like not programming at all. And then you can program, but you don't need to for a lot of things. You can make a lot of games without programming. Building something that does a thing is so much more fun than writing a for loop that prints the numbers 1 to 10. I fully agree. I fully agree. It's actually one of the reasons why web development I think is so popular for new beginners, is because you get to see things on the screen and they're not just words in a terminal. All right. Oh, we're gonna have the name of the image, which is gonna be an image name. Now, this is gonna be interesting because we're gonna be grabbing this image from, like, we're getting it as a string out. So get image from stir, I guess. So we're gonna have a name which is actually a stir like this. We're gonna return a result. Let's return an option. So if you give us an image name that doesn't exist, we're just not gonna give you an image. But if we do, here you go, you get an image. So first things first, we're gonna take this stir and we need to convert it into this, like to create an image name from this. I almost want to do like an impl of image name for this in here. So let's do a pub function. Let's do like from stir, or new from stir. Then this is gonna be it's gonna get string. Here's a stir. I'm gonna turn an option with the image name inside. I guess it would be self inside. When you were learning programming C, you're very happy to see the numbers 1 through 10 printed. I remember those exercises. Like the 1 through 10, 10 through 1. What was it also? Oh, the pyramid of asterisks. There was all those, the pyramid of asterisks. Like every teacher loved giving that exercise. Your brother's learning Rust from past 3 weeks, but he never took so long to learn other languages, and he was still learning Rust. Yes, Rust takes a lot longer than most languages to learn. I agree with that. C is great, especially for beginners. It doesn't try to hide what's going on behind the scenes. I'm going to partially agree. C is great as long as you don't get into like the nitty gritty. Like as long as you don't try to build like a full big app in C, then it's fine. But like for the beginning, like a little, okay, let's just do these little things with it, then it's fine. But like, I don't know if there's any value in a beginner right away having to like reprogram all of the abstractions. That feels like a lot of theory first type of learning, and theory first I don't agree with. I do think that eventually learning that is really important. Yeah, so I agree. Eventually learning it is super, super, super important. What I found when I was teaching is if I taught those things at the beginning, then I teach other stuff, and then I have to reteach the stuff at the beginning because they had forgotten it because it wasn't useful right away. Like you don't need those type like pointers or anything else to do for loops. You don't need those to like know what a function is. So all of the base how to like program has to come first. And then we can start adding in the other things once that sort of base level understanding exists. I think I was like answering multiple things at the same time, and so sorry about that, Dota. No matter what you do at the start, your understanding is somewhat shallow. It's like, well, yeah, it has to be, right? Because there's nothing there. We have to build a foundation. I think C strings are troublesome because they are pointers. Yes, that's the reason why I wouldn't teach strings in C. I would probably just treat characters and then looping through like an array of characters to print something out to the screen. And then we can like slowly get towards strings. All right, so new from this stir. So I want to match the string. Then we can do things like, okay, grass middle. We're gonna return here a sum self grass middle. If it's anything else, we're gonna turn a none. That means down here, we're gonna take this name. We're gonna let the actual name. So image name equals image name from new stir, pass in this name. Now, this gives us this option, but because I'm returning an option here, I can just question mark this and it will return it if it's a none. So that's cool. Your brother tells you to learn C++ first and then make games. Should I learn C++ first or start making games with Unity? Unity uses C#. Unreal uses C++. Game Maker uses Python. I think Python. I want to say Python. But I think you use all the languages too. I don't know. I mean, C++ would be pretty rough. What do I think about Godot? I like the idea of Godot. I haven't used it yet. And I've watched like Mr. Halsey and who else uses Godot? Peyton Rules. I've watched their streams with Godot and it seems pretty cool. I have to make the decision like relatively soon whether or not I want to use Godot or I want to just purely wait until Bevy and just use Bevy. Bevy looks like it's going to try to be a competitor to Godot in like all the ways. But it's fairly early, so it's going to take a while for it to get there. Is Go and Godot different? Go is the programming language made by Google, and Godot is a game engine made by Godot. So yes, very, very different. Godot supports many different languages. Unofficially, yes. You can use plugins. So like, for example, you can get a Rust plugin for Godot to program in Rust for Godot. There are too many things. There are a billion things. Someone reduce the... So Rust is the future for game dev right now? Probably not. Like, when anybody says the future for something, there's always going to be competitors. I don't see Unity or... I don't see like the big three going away anytime soon. So Godot, Unreal, and Godot, Unreal, and Unity are probably here to stay for a very, 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 very long time. And so Godot uses a Python-based language for its default, although as they were saying in chat, many different languages are viable. Unreal uses C++ and Unity uses C#. They're all gonna be like big for the longest time. So I like if Bevy have its way, then Rust will add reach in there and there'll be four big game engines. The let's see. I think a big thing to like not let ourselves run into is like feeling that there is only one right choice for a technology for like making games or doing anything in. Okay, Godot uses their own language, GD script. Okay, got it. Which is similar to Python. That's what it is. I always sort of thought that it was Python, but that must be similar to like Unity's Moo script before they got rid of it. How did I start coding? So, let's see, my very, very, very first coding was like when I was, I don't know, in high school or so. That's when I just somehow got my hands on like a basic, like the basic books, like one of those, like just make some games in basic and you just type in and then somehow it works. And if it doesn't, you just don't know what went wrong and you don't know how to debug and you just start over again from scratch. So that's what I did. So basic was my first language. Then I did a little bit of programming on my TI-82 until it got stolen. Let's see. But then there was no programming for a very long time until college when I took some JavaScript courses. And then I dropped out of computer science because I hated Java. And it's probably less of me hating Java and more disliking the teacher that was teaching Java, who was super negative if you like didn't get it the first try. And like basically it was one of those, if you haven't been programming for years before getting to this course, why are you even here? So I kind of just like left. I kind of just quit out of that and then became a systems administrator. I thought that I hated programming until like I took a programming, like I took C courses. I did a little bit of C. I did a little bit of Python as part of just being a systems administrator. And then eventually at the end of that, I'm like, maybe I am a programmer and I just don't know it. And then I went over and I took a quick like a web dev course and became a web developer, and then have been reopening my mind to like the system stuff with Rust for the last few years. Does Rust have good libraries to make graphical applications? Good question. Let's see. So for all of these type of questions, there is a, are we a GUI yet? I think is the one we want. It's basically the state of building interfaces in Rust. So here's what we have. Are these by? These are by alphabet. That sucks. They're not by like. Okay, they're not by they're not by like how often they're being used. Let's see. So I would say I've heard the most about eGUI and iced. Yep, that's it. eGUI and iced are the two that I've heard a lot about. I have not used them, so I can't speak to how good they are or whether or not they actually work. I would probably lean towards iced if I was going to try it, just because I heard about it first before eGUI, and I really like the idea that they're inspired by Elm, which is a very Elm is a very functional based language. So I just kind of like the idea that it's going to be functional based language than in Rust. I can sysadmin, yes, although it's been several years now. So my sysadmin is Rusty. Hypothetically speaking, how would you get a web address to appear instead of an address like? Oh, you mean like removing the numbers and then replacing that? I mean, yeah, you're gonna need a DNS server, but probably use something like a reverse hosting lookup with echo and a shell script or something like that to like change it from the IP address into the number, like the actual name. But the fuck is a DNS server? Is that like a router? A DNS server is a computer that is like an enum in the cloud. You hand it numbers and it hands you names. And sometimes it screws up and then everything breaks. Like the entire internet breaks. What is the most important language for game dev? The most important language for game dev is the language you can use to build a game. That's it. Or you force your computer's configuration to translate it, but it would only work on a one PC. And it would be cached to that one PC. I can connect to other PCs in the network through 192. Well, yes, 192.168 is a protected range of IP addresses, meaning it's local. It's basically, it will never be a public IP address. It's like, for example, if I were to expose my IP address, but it was a 192.168, that literally doesn't mean anything because everyone can have a 192.168. It's sort of like the joke saying, hey, I exposed my home address and it was a 127.0.0.1. 127 is also a local IP address that will never be shared anywhere else. If you put a web server within LAN, can you get others connected to the web address through? Yes, through, you'll need a reverse proxy server running somewhere to do that. Your router can probably get all that set up through the GUI of the router, and that would work. Caveat, be very, very, very careful about what ports you open on your router, because those, like, there's bots that are like checking every single like address that they can find that works, and like if they find one that's open, they'll just hit it with every vulnerability they can, and see if they can get root access to your network. And that's terrible. Root, yeah, my favorite reverse proxy server is Nginx. That is my favorite one. Some ISPs don't allow you to open certain ports. It's probably a good thing. It probably is a good thing. That being said, like it can be useful for like, I mean, I guess these days you could spin up a cloud server for like $3 a month or even free if you know where you're looking. And it's like, there's no reason to host a web server in your house anymore, unless it's just for internal networking. Like that's the only reason to do it, internal network. Even though Russia took it over, did Russia take over Nginx? I haven't been following it very much. Use a DDNS and have a cron job that updates it. I mean, yeah, I mean those all work. Like they're all gonna work, but there's some that are more dangerous than others. All right, so we get the image name out, then we can grab the image. So we can then do a, let's go. Okay, this is gonna be perfect. So we're gonna do a self.images.get, and it a reference to the keys. That's the image name. Oh, but this gives us, and I want to clone this. I mean, I can just do this as a reference to this, and then this is what we're returning, is grabbing this out. So then, do you know how often I have to say, hey, look what I made? I mean, we're developers and we do that. That's like every day, right? Yeah, just like, I mean, if we're not always making things, then that's kind of boring. Okay, so we want to go to our draw platforms. And here we want to grab out the image. So we have this image name. I want to borrow this and grab it out. So we can just grab it right here. Let the image is going to be equal to the image manager. Oh, we have to have this passed in. The image manager has to be passed in here. It's gonna be just a reference to an image manager. If you want to host simple apps to share, Heroku is great. Yes, absolutely. AWS Terraform things if you want to put online, free tier. Good. Okay, so Heroku, free. If you're okay with your app going to sleep a lot. DigitalOcean, $5 a month, pretty cheap server, and never will be more than $5. However, you have to do a lot of work yourself. Amazon, you can do, I think, as cheap as $3 a month, but you have to also deal with AWS. And then there's Google Cloud Server, which I've not used. I think they're perfectly fine. And then there's Azure, which you can get like probably like 3 billion years for free credits with them just by like talking to some reps. Then you have to figure out how to use Azure. I've not ever used, like, I've tried to help some students use Azure when they're like, I want to host my web app on Azure. And it was like, that just pissed me off. Amazon can be more expensive unless it's set up exactly right. In which case it's probably just as cheap. If your app is only front end, you can use the GitHub Pages. Oh yeah. Then there's tons of services with your front end only is free. Like just absolutely free because they're trying to addict you to your system and then bring that into work, and then they charge your work like $3,000 a month, or maybe $30,000 a month. I want to use Azure. Proceed to explain why that's not a student's first choice, or why it shouldn't be your first choice. I'm sure that Azure is great. I just, their interface for like going through and doing stuff as of a couple of years ago was a nightmare to use. If they tighten that up, I think that it could be a really great service, because they have good services and it usually works, but it's just also one of those things where it's like, just please work. Okay, so image manager, we're gonna get image from the stir. We need this image name, so we're gonna do it image name. We're gonna borrow you. Now you're giving me what are you giving me? We're getting this ref, and I want this stir here. If I do this, that gives me a string, I think. So I can do this. I can do that. This is beautiful. It's beautiful. You can't tell me otherwise. Okay, so that gives us an image option of the image. So then we can say if let some image equals this image. Then I want to apply a texture to this rectangle. So it's gonna be our mesh builder. Dot texture. And we're gonna put in the image. And let's do this after you. Okay. Image here. Okay, you need to be dereferenced. Or I could just clone you, which cloning is cheap, we found. So that's fun. Oh, we just clone you here. And all we have left are 4 major errors. So you say VPS, think of VPC on AWS. What you're talking about is the exact problem I have with AWS. They have really awesome services and terrible naming. Terrible naming. I think it's virtual private system, but I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I've like played in that space. All right, where's my error? Oh, here. Semicolon. 2 errors. Right, we need it all. Okay, so now we need to make sure when you do display, we need to pass in the image manager. Just gonna be a reference to an image manager, and then we can pass that in here. Which means in our main library, we need to pass that in here. All right, no errors. Let's see what happens. I have a bad feeling this is not going to do what I want, but we're going to find out. Well, yeah, okay, it didn't do anything. Is that because each of them need to be independent draws now? Where's this warning? just because you're not being used. I'm worried that each of these need to be independent draws. Let's try something. Let's take this context and let's actually just do a draw with it. Like, let's not draw any of you. Let's just take, or maybe we can do draw. I don't know. We need to create. I think I may need to create like a new mesh builder here. So mesh builder equals mesh builder new, make you mutable. Then I'm going to update you. So mesh builder, we give this rectangle, we give it a texture, and as soon as this first one is done, oh, you know what I think what I want to try to do is not even do this. I think what I want to do is just do a let mesh equals this. We're gonna mesh builder, create this rectangle, add the mesh. Okay, add the texture onto the mesh, and then graphics, draw, context, and then the drawable is reference to the mesh, draw param, new, that. What are you upset about? The trait, mesh builder. Oh, because, yeah. Then mesh equals mesh dot build. That's what it is. Expected mutable mesh builder, found this mesh. Oh, mesh builder, because you're a builder. Oh, yeah. Mesh. Hold on. Mesh builder. So create this. Equals this. We rectangle this. We add the texture. Mesh builder. We build it, and then we display it. This is gonna be the mesh builder. Then you're gonna be a let mesh builder. What are you upset about? Variable doesn't need to be mutable. Really? I guess it's immutable reference here. That's why it doesn't need mutable itself. I'm not changing it. Okay, let's see if this works. All right, I missed a whole bunch of chat. Sorry about that. If you're just starting with AWS, you won't worry about the PC or... Yeah, the problem that I have with AWS is finding the stuff that you want to use is so hard. All right, this doesn't draw out. These are still green. Is it green because this? If I gave it 0 as the color. Oh, like no color whatsoever? Ha! Not what I want. I think that I can't make it a rectangle. There's other things we can do. Mesh builder dot. Wait. You should be a new mesh builder. Mesh builder new dot. Okay, what can I do? We can do a circle. I think we need a polyline or a polygon. Let's try polygon. Creates a new mesh for a closed polygon. These points given must be in clockwise order. And I think that it will close itself. Okay, so we're gonna have a draw mode, fill. Oh, but it's still gonna be color. How do I add a texture to an image? Might be interesting. Because otherwise I don't know how to like batch a bunch of these draws out. And we may just have a problem of like, okay, we'll just draw all the images where they need to go. Points. So this is gonna be an array. I think it's gonna be a reference to an array of points, which is then arrays. So let's just do one like just for ourselves. Let's just do like 0.0. What did you say it was? It was in clockwise order. So like this for me, which is that for you. So 00 to 70.000. Oh, wait. Okay. 0000. That's X. Then 70.000. Then down. So it's gonna be 70.0. Then 0.0. 70.0. And then I think it closes automatically. I don't think I have to give like the last one. So it just goes straight up. And then our color, we can just make this white. Do that. Temporary value dropped. Which value is dropped? 53, 55. Yeah, so I want to add in a texture at this point. Here, I could just do this if let across everything, and then I can just do a dot texture at this point. Dot texture, and then we're gonna have a dot build at the end of this. And then we will draw you. So if it doesn't draw at all, then this obviously is not happening. Let's just put a debug here. Okay, there is a texture. That is not the texture I was expecting. This image looks like that. That doesn't look like that. Now, I could also, I believe, just draw the image out straight up. Like instead of doing all this stuff, I should also be able to just do, because if we have this image, we can just do a graphics, draw,
reference to, we already have a reference to the image. So image, and then draw param new dest, and give it something like 50.0, 50.0. That looks a lot better. Okay, I like that more. The problem is we're having, like, we have to get away from doing all the draws. We're gonna have to do them all together because there's no batch image for drawing, is there? And at least for here, which sucks. So we have to do this a whole bunch of times. So okay, if we have an image, then grab that image out and we're gonna do a draw of the image. And the destination is gonna be the wrapped position dot borrow to array. And here's our ground. Now that's starting, so we need to shift these all over to the left, or I need to start. Yeah, I need to figure out some better way of like displaying these. All the dots are because like every entity, I'm just drawing a dot in like the center position of where they are. But I mean, it kind of looks good. The problem here is that this is the center of it. There's still half of it over here. So what, 35 pixels to the left of this? I would need to shift this. I would need to shift. Okay, so we can grab a new destination. So if left image, let's let like the destination is going to be equal to dereferenced wrapped position borrow. So I copy it. So I get to copy this point. Gonna mute you. Then what I want to do is take this destination and subtract by half the width. So I'm gonna say destination dot. Yeah, there's no subtract, I don't think. So destination.x minus equals a dereferenced wrapped width divided by 2. Destination.y minus equals dereferenced wrapped height borrow divided by 2. Then this is going to be the destination to array. If I do that, how do you look? Now you look appropriate. So it was sort of like starting the halfway position for each of those, but now we have ground on the ground. Hello, Zakar Yabowskiv. Sorry, there's no way I pronounced that correctly. So sorry about that, but also welcome. Let's see, there's been a lot of talk about like which cloud platform hosting services. Just Zachariah. Well, hello, Zachariah. I like DigitalOcean, but when I try to get stuff done, like for a company, I just use AWS. Like they just have it's just better. DigitalOcean, if they could like add in a few more services, then I think it might be I might be willing to like recommend it for work. Now for personal, I think DigitalOcean is great. All right, so we have our world here now. Let's say I want to like land on this world, but you know what? We can also give our player an image. It's the usual form of consulting. Oh, you're consulting for free at the moment. Oh, just like right now, right this second. Is that what you're talking about? You haven't used either, but there's also Linode. Oh yeah, that is correct. Yeah, Linode does exist. I haven't used them. I've heard good things though. What are we looking at? I want to add an image for our player. So let's go find our player in here. So 2D assets. It's the platformer. No, that's physics. Platformer asset base. G player. What? These are different. Why are there circles around their head? That's weird. I want, okay. I want that. Maybe there's something else. Platformer pack? Oh, this is like so strange. I guess we could choose these guys. They have little space aliens. Nope. Assets. Where did I find the original one? Wait, do I have it in here? Oh yeah, I do. Here's our bunny. Our bunny is, I have no idea what size this bunny is right this second, but let's not worry about that. What could possibly go wrong? We're gonna go into play, and when we load the player, we're gonna add in, which means the image manager. So we have the grass middle and the player. So if we add that in here, player, say sum, self, player. Okay. We're also gonna get that image, which new context and bunny one ready.png. Then insert this in here too. So images.insert image name player, and the value is the player image. Which means we can now get that player from here. So this is some draw. Oh, what? No, that's not what I want at all. Let's see. Where's our systems managers? Draw entities. That's what it is. Okay, so draw entities. I think all of our entity draw system is probably gonna have to be just ripped out and redrawn, because I think what we just decided is that if I'm drawing images, I can't wrap textures like inside of one texture. We're gonna have to do it across everything, which is unfortunate. Lumicode, hello, bonjour. I'm doing good today. It is a nice Sunday, even though it's a little bit dark and rainy outside. Today's focus is on drawing the actual platform that we're landing on to the screen. So we're doing that successfully. We have that here. Now this is representing our player. So what we just ran into though is I can't, like, each of these are gonna have to be different draws that we're gonna call, which is unfortunate. I think that we're gonna be okay because I think we can do like 1,000 draws at a time before we run into problems on a desktop computer like this. Probably significantly less on like a laptop, Raspberry Pi, like maybe 200, which is unfortunate, but it's also a platformer, so I'll try to like combine together as many things as I can. But like this, I guess what I could do is like, instead of an image, create this as like its own texture. Like, I guess not a texture, like figure out how to draw this programmatically, and then I can use that. So unfortunately, what I'm having to like do here is like, we have our camera. I think the camera is gonna have to be replaced. Like, okay, the first part of this is doing the camera. What I want to do is select cameras. Here's this push transform. Then I do like all the other stuff, I think. Oh yeah, so here's this other query. Yeah. I know this function is doing two things, which is not good. I think what I want to do is draw entities that have graphics, maybe. So like load player, we would then have to, we're going to want to give the player like a width and a height. Yeah, no matter what. Okay, so acceleration, gravity, camera. So I want to give it like a height. Right now, where is that other thing? What are you? What size are you? Are what is this program? Platformer. There it goes. Resources. So here's my resources. Here's this bunny ready. If I hover over it, you are 120 by 191. Sure. That's as good as any. Your let's see, position, set height, 191.0, set width, 20.0. What else do I have? Set image name. Image name, player, toString. Is there anything else? I don't think so. I think that's it. So now my player has all this information in it as well. So I think that I want to kind of get rid of this camera because it's doing all this like extra stuff that it doesn't need to do. I think eventually I want to like remove the camera from the world and it views the world. So the camera looks at the world and decides what's going to get drawn. I think that's what we're going to do. I think that's my only, yeah, I think that's the only thing I can really choose to do here is have like a camera that runs, like it would be a camera system. No, I'd probably have like a camera struct. And then we're going to have like the draw what the camera sees system. And then the camera can be used, like this camera struct can be used to like pull out what can this camera see and then draw that to the screen. It's like it can do, it can grab all the information that's going to be drawn and like return that. I think we're gonna have to do that. Just cut that function in half. Yeah, like that never work. That never is bad. Just taking out half the code. There's never a problem with doing that without like actually thinking about what to do. I'm pretty sure if I take out half the code, isn't that calling automatic? Then have a parent function that calls. Yeah, no, yeah. That's like the end goal is like I need to refactor this into like multiple functions and potentially different structures to handle that. So I'm trying to think of like, how do I want to do this? I want the camera to draw. So like having this here. It's like we can even just imagine this doesn't exist for a second. So this is the camera, right? So this is an entire camera system. So we are probably going to need data inside of this, like width is an F32, height is an F32. So we need like how wide and how tall the camera is. Isn't it zero cost when you ask to draw stuff that isn't going to show up? It's a good question. I don't actually know the answer to that. Like maybe yes and maybe no, possibly. So the problem, what I'm dealing with here is because the camera is in the world. Because the camera's in the world, the first part of this is just determining getting the camera information. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. That does make sense. Here, let's do this. We'll just do draw entities. We need the world context. There is a processing part, which is, that's actually surprisingly expensive in GGEZ. So here, all of this stuff goes down here. And then we're going to call stuff.draw entities and pass it in the world and the context. Right, so we need another query. Then we need the camera position. Okay, so I think like the approach to this needs to be different. Let's go back to the whiteboard. I know, but yeah. I think I want to make it a struct, which then I could create a struct for that and pass that in. So here's what we're looking at for like the camera stuff. It's like this would be the camera that's around. And we have all the things that are like in here, that are like just somewhere in. We have some out here and some like over here. And then as the camera moves, everything sort of pans to the left because it's doing this translate where the entire world moves the left around the camera. So really all I need for the camera position is like its position and its size, like essentially a rectangle for its information. So we have its position, but notice like its position, like this, the top left of the camera is what we care about. And this is the top. Yeah, basically this is all getting like the top left of the camera. So yep, top left of the camera. So I would want a camera position is going to be a reference to an array F32 F32. Oh, F32 2. And then this entire thing is going to get replaced. So if I cut you out, you'll be replaced by the camera position. Line 43. Oh yeah. Like put that down there and like just pass that around. I mean, yeah, we could do that too. And have you not be here. And throw you down here. Do this first. So we need camera positions. You're in the loop. You're down here. Yeah, I know. I should be doing like smaller refactorings, but I'm not. This is giving me all of those. We're doing a push transform. This push transform needs to happen in this loop too. Wrapped camera position. Oh, because, okay, you are getting just the first one out there. So I can do this first. So we do that. Then I need to pass these in. So the wrapped camera position is a reference. What are you? You're a reference to a vec with a reference to a component data inside. So that makes you happy. So this is camera positions. Okay, that makes you happy. Then camera widths. Same thing, and then camera widths. And our camera heights. Now down here, we have this mesh builder because that's being passed in from the outside. And then what are you yelling at me about? Entities. Oh, I want to. Go back to that. Okay, everything should still work. Everything does still work. Okay. Now, we extract the camera information. We need to query for everything that has an image. So here we have just positions for this, like what we're drawing out. I want to say, like, if you have a position and you have an image and a width and a height. Which is really similar to that other, like the platforms that we did. It's actually going to be pretty much exactly the same. So we need a positions, need a widths, heights, image names. Component names with comma. That's my problem. Then component names, height as ref, names, image name as ref. So that gives us all of these. Oh, you cannot speak Rust. Remember, I forget. You're all advanced Rust people, right? That's gonna give me the most help. So therefore, I just will it to be so. Okay, so then push transform. This is by like we transform by the. This should really happen before we call this. This should really happen up here. Yeah, before we call draw entities, we should shift everything over. So draw entities doesn't have to be worried about this. You pretend to know things until it's inconvenient. Oh, but thank you so much for hanging though, Lumicode. It's awesome to have you all here, regardless of what level you are. Let's see. Okay, so then we're gonna draw these entities out. So position. Then, okay, so we queried for this. Then we get like the wrap position, and we're going to, then we're just doing this mesh builder circle. But I think what we discovered is we can't actually do this here. We do a push transform, and then we're going to do a graphics pop transform here. But for each of these, we're gonna have to do a full draw, which means we don't need a mesh builder coming in. We're gonna have to create that ourselves. So for each one of these, we're gonna grab the image for it. It's like we have the wrapped position. Let's do wrapped width. Which means we do need this index. Okay, we get the height and then image name. Here's a string. Okay, so we get that. 65 to 85 makes you feel better. Just all of these. Until it's 65 to 100 again. Yeah, don't worry, we'll get there. Then I'll have to break it out again. What are you upset about? Just save and you'll be not upset. You'll be less upset if I just save. Okay, so now we have all these things. We're not going to do this mesh builder circle anymore. Now what I'm going to do is actually create, like just draw these out. So we need the destination. So let mute destination equals we dereferenced wrapped position borrow use. So we clone the destination out of each of these things, and then something pure functions. I don't know what you're talking about. I know I mentioned functional programming before, but I've got short-term amnesia. I know actually like a bunch of these things like create the destination. To do that would be really nice. That would probably be best. I should probably rewrite the entire systems thing with that in mind. And it'll be much better. Let's see. Draw entities. Actually, I just need more helper functions. That's really what it is. Just more helper functions. Will do the thing for me. Okay, so I have my destination here. Now what I need to do is update our destination. So our destination, we need to move it over to the top to get the top left corner. So destination.x is going to be minus equals to the dereferenced width.borrow divided by 2. Destination.y minus equals to dereferenced height borrow divided by 2. Then we can draw this out. Oh, we need the actual image. So let image equals. So we do need the image. Image manager in here. So image manager dot get image from string, and this is going to be that entire this thing. So it's going to be the image name dot borrow. So then if let some image equals image, then we're going to do a graphics draw context, a reference to the image, which we already have as a reference to the image, so it's just the image. And then the drop grams with the destination to array. And you, okay, I am not going to draw the platforms anymore. I don't think we need that. But the image manager needs to be passed in. So if we run this, I mean, it's working. So a lot more refactoring needs to be done to make us happy about this. This bunny needs to be smaller, a lot smaller. Probably bring it down to like the 70 width would be the appropriate thing to do. I could scale it down, but scaling works really weird in GGEZ, and like it's not easy for me to like figure out exactly what the right scale is for it. So just making that image be the right size is just the way to do it. I actually have I do have GIMP. We can just do this right now. So we're gonna open. Okay, open up our bunny. Why use GIMP when you can use Affinity? I don't have Affinity. I probably should look into it. Can entities have nested entities? Not right now, and I probably not for this game. But that is something that would be pretty cool to do. So I simply want to take this image and is it canvas size? Make you 70 width. Ooh. Can't cancel. Scaling would probably child scale. And then the math gets really weird when like for collision detection too. Oh, scale image. That's probably what I want. Okay, so I want to make your width 70. It's gonna make you 111 pixels tall. That's fine. To scale you, let's go ahead and before I do anything crazy like this, let's cd to resources, copy item from bunny read 1 to bunny before resized png. So now I have that. Let's go ahead and export as a PNG. Yes, so ready should now be a smaller, which means in play, we made you, what did we make you? It was like 70 and 111, I think. So load the player. You're 111 and you're 70. Okay. Let's try that again. I mean, smaller, So it's now the width of one of these boxes here, which is not bad. This is okay, I think, for our game. And if I want to refactor this even further for like the system manager, for drop platforms can be just completely removed. We don't need that anymore. So we have this camera that draws, like I think breaking out the camera and having it be separate would be really nice. What's going on here is that for every single one, like we have to create like all this position stuff and do all this math, which is not fun. We have to do this transform and then pop transform. And then, okay, so draw entities. We have to do a query for the entity and we get all this information back. Then we loop through all of our entities, cast them out into like the component parts. And then the actual real work happens here. So we figure out what the destination is going to be. So this could be a function. So we can have a function for calculate destination. What do we need in? We need the position. So we're going to take in a position, which is a full point, and then a width, which is an F32, and a height, which is an F32, and we're going to return a new point. And so then this essentially happens down here. So we're going to call calculate destination and pass in like this, essentially. So let's do that here. This is going to be self dot calculate destination, dereferenced, wrapped position dot borrow. And we're going to do the same thing with both of these. So it's going to be a dereferenced dot borrow. We don't need to do that anymore, and you don't need to be mutable. Because here we're going to take in this position that's cloned from this. You do need to be mute. So it's a mute point. You go here. Then we can say, okay. Actually, you know what? Can I just do this? It's a ref with a point inside. That's what I want to do. 'Cause then I can just clone this from here. So that position or destination, I guess, equals to, it's a new point. That way here I could just borrow it. And then, okay, so for these width and height, for the X, it's going to be the halfway. So, it's going to be this position. Where did that weird thing with a position context? position.x minus width divided by 2. Position.y minus height divided by 2. And that's what we return. Why? Oh, no let. Just returning that. Okay, so then we create our destination from this. That makes you happy. We get our image. If the image exists. So I don't have to do this entire thing. We can do this all in one line here. So X this equals that. Okay, so if let some image equals this, so we get that out. So here's our image, then we draw it. So the biggest thing is really just getting information that call the other functions to get the information. What are you all upset about now? If let sum equals mismatch types, expected, a point, found nothing. Expected a point. Where did you expect the point? Probably because I expected this to be a semicolon. All right, 3 errors. Where's my errors? More semicolons. 88. Where did that come from? No errors. Okay, so it should still be working. It still is. Okay, that's cool. I'm not sure necessarily what to do with the camera yet. I really still am thinking about like removing the camera from the world, and then that would make it easier to deal with. I wouldn't have to do this entire big query for that. So I don't know. It's a consideration to do. I'm not exactly sure. I'm thinking though that, well, I'm gonna have to think even further on it. I really am like on the edge of just getting rid of the camera from the world and only having entities in the world, and like not having the camera be its own entity. If I need multiple cameras, then, well, I'm not going to need multiple cameras. Not for this platformer game. And so that way I can just say like, hey, give me the stuff that's in here and I'm going to draw you. Okay, so I think we're good for right now. Let's go ahead and clean this up. We have 18 warnings. Okay, so we're not using level and load camera here, so I would be able to get rid of that under like the level loader essentially. Camera. So we're not using either of these. This is where that position came from. I accidentally brought that in. Okay, I was wondering what was going on there. Don't need you. Or either of you. Or you. We're using cameras just to make sure we query only for the camera. And we don't need this mesh builder anymore. We just unfortunately can't use it. Not the way we were hoping to. Okay, so this is all good. You don't take this mesh builder anymore. How did I get like a double mute on there? That's interesting. Also, I'm surprised that worked. We're not going to have that drop platforms anymore. So you're going to go away. And you go away. Also, this entire mesh builder, this goes away. And the apply and pop transformations goes away from here too. Which means all of you go away. And this drop platform system goes away. Right. Let's see. Don't need. Oh yeah, this entire file, draw platforms system goes away. So this just gets deleted. Platforms, you go away. Camera. You don't need to be mutable anymore. No warnings, no errors. You're okay, that's somebody's name. That's somebody's name. Go ahead and add it. Also let's add this in too. This is the bunny. Is also Penny game assets 1. Somewhere in there. I don't know which, like there's like 1,000 things in the game assets that Kenny has. Okay, and that's all of these things closed up. I mean, there's obviously a lot of refactoring that would make it a lot better. But if we run this, it actually looks nice and sort of like functions. Now we don't have the player falling and hitting and like standing on the ground. That would probably be really nice for us to sort of like set that up as. And I don't have like, I can't move left or right. Like nothing really works in this screen except just loading that up. And then our bunny just falls to the floor. So that's cool. But we have this set up. So then tomorrow, what I'm thinking of doing is making it so that way we can actually land on the platform, and then possibly looking for like a like whatever the next steps are for this. This looks like a kid's game. It only looks like a kid's game because of bunny. Yeah, it does. I could replace the bunny with the astronaut, which would be interesting, but I don't think it would. I don't know if I like the look of the astronaut. We could look through the Kenny stuff and try to find other assets to do, but this is a stand-in for right now. We could create our own, like a different asset if we wanted to later for what it's really going to be. But this is like a learning project, so I don't know if I'm ever going to get past the stand-in. Anyways. I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it for a day here. I need to go grab lunch, and then relax for the rest of my Sunday. Everyone, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for the conversation. I'm sorry I couldn't join in for too much of it, but I hope that you have a great rest of your Sundays. I will be back here every single weekday tomorrow. I have yet to decide if it's going to be a longer stream tomorrow because of the holiday. If it is, I'll just be on for longer. But regardless, I'll be on at 7 a.m. Mountain Time every single weekday morning this week. So if you like this and you want to get notified when I do go live, I would love it if you hit the follow button. And regardless, I hope that you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.